Madame Bionnet said that if she wanted to tell if a dress was right, she had only to try it on the Duchess. Maria Ruspoli de Gramont, daughter of Don Luigi and Clelia of the Counts Balboni, was born in Rome in 1888. In 1907, at the age of just 19, she married the old Duke Antoine XI Agénor de Gramont, 37 years her senior, twice a widower with 4 children from previous marriages. The marriage was, reportedly, not happy, allegedly because of the age difference between the spouses, despite the birth of 2 children. It seems the young Duchess wasted no time in betraying her husband. After it appeared, he had become the object of salacious irony. Le Duc de Gramont épousa sa première femme pour son écu. Le deuxième pour son écu et la troisième pour son écu. The Duc de Gramont married his first wife for her crown, the second for her crowns, and the third for her ass. The first wife of Agénor, in fact, was a Beaubeau-Craon, a family of ancient lineage worthy of the Gramonts. The second wife was a Rothschild, who died leaving him immensely rich. The third wife was Maria, the beautiful Italian princess. Widowed in turn, Maria inherited a fortune and often returned to Italy in her castle of Bigoleno, near Solsomaiore. She had purchased it in 1922 and turned it into a sumptuous residence. Her castle became a place of worldly and cultural gatherings, attended by the likes of Gabriel D'Annunzio, actor Douglas Fairbanks, Max Ernst, Alexander Yakovlev, Jean Cocteau, film star Mary Pickford, writer Elsa Maxwell, pianist Arthur Rubinstein, to name a few. In Bigoleno, the Duchess resided intermittently from 1921 to 1935, starting the restoration of the castle palace, buying expensive and precious furnishings. She created in the village a kind of Renaissance court in the middle of the 20th century. It was on vacation at the castle of Bigoleno that Max Ernst painted the masterpiece The Embalmed Forest. Maria had a natural instinct for dramatic effects, which served her to make Bigoleno one of the most impressive tourist spots in Europe. Elsa Maxwell wrote in her book I Married the World, "Once, while I was leading a group of people to visit her during a frightening storm, Maria provided us with illuminating the entire profile of the castle, with torches strung on the ramparts and towers. A show to disfigure the lights of Broadway or Piccadilly. But all this cost greatly affected the fortune she had inherited. In 1835, after having squandered her deceased husband's wealth, she returned to France and married François Victor Hugo. Even this marriage was not happy and ended in divorce. Maria, whilst a residence in her Parisian house of the Champs-Élysées, hosted the tea parties that soon became famous for the mixed environment of bohemian and aristocrats, amongst who was Marchesa Casati. Maria, in turn, participated in the fabulous Marchesa parties. In fact, in 1827, she participated in a masquerade held by Casati in Paris. Maria made a surprising entry in the form of a black snake, introduced to the party on a sarcophagus carried by 4 pages dressed as Egyptian slaves. She became a famous Paris hostess who was said to have entertained 90,000 in her lifetime. In fact, starting in 1921, together with some friends, including Marquise Casati and the trio Fratellini, she became the matrix of the most popular clubs in the French capital. She spent the 20s having fun, frequenting places such as the Fouquet's and Le Monteverdi restaurants, the Algoros Ballroom, the Medrano Circus, and the Grand Guignol Theatre, between balls and masquerade parties. Besides being a famous hostess, she also became a fashion icon and inspiration for designers, painters, and photographers. The Duchesse de Gramont was Madame Vionet's favorite client, who claimed she was the most elegant woman in Paris. Vionet said of her, "She was a real model, tall and beautiful. When I was making a dress, I had only to ask her to come and try it on, and I knew exactly where it was wrong." In 1821, she was represented in a painting seated in a gondola, in an evening dress by the French artist Jean-Gabriel Domergue. This painting, Carnival in Venice, portrait of the Duchesse de Gramont on a gondola, is quite emblematic. The painting atmosphere, completely café society, is particularly attractive. Maria Ruspoli, in a dress most probably for Tuni, wears a veil hat characteristic of the Venetian carnival. The dreamlike perception of the night and the party, as well as the mannerist elegance of the model, give the work an excessively refined atmosphere. In 1822, the Anglo-Hungarian painter Philip Alexius de Laszlo painted her as Princess Ruspoli, Duchesse de Gramont. He was well known for his portraits of royal and aristocratic personages. Later in her life, and as Maria Hugo, she moved to New York. By this time, she had spent most of her inheritance and had already remarried to François Hugo. In the fall of 1945, backed by Elizabeth Arden and Robert de Rothschild, Maria Hugo opened the Hugo Gallery at 26 East at 55th Street in New York. In February 1946, Dominique de Menil, the French-American art collector, wrote a letter to her husband while staying alone in New York. In the letter, she recorded her first impression of the Hugo Gallery. "I love this gallery and the boldness with which Maria launched herself in the adventure. With only about $200 in her pocket, Maria rented a little gallery on the 6th floor of a building on 55th Street. The decor is not meant to be sensational, which surprised me. It has 3 small rooms, perfectly arranged from a technical standpoint to enhance the paintings. With a very sophisticated lighting system, they use small spotlights in the ceiling, pointing in all directions. Every painting, every engraving is lit individually. The picture is bathed in light, and yet the source of illumination is not immediately clear. The colors of the walls, like the lightning, are very well studied. The effect is like being bathed in warm dusk. Each part of the wall is a different gray, but all the tones are harmonious, complementing one another. There is a dark gray with a hint of mauve, a lighter gray, and one that has some blue in it." Dominique was not only impressed by the work of Maria, but also by the man she had brought on board to direct the venture. This man was Alexander Iolas, one of the many colorful characters in the history of 20th century art. When the Hugo Museum opened on the 15th November 1945, an extravagant party was held on the premises. The New York Times reported on everything, from the first-rate paintings to the sumptuous decorations, the work of the best florists in town. The entire dance world turned out for the reception, surely less for the chance to contemplate paintings by Chagall and de Chirico than for a close-up view of Pavel Cholychev and Tamara Tumanova. In the Hugo Gallery, many of the greater artists of the century exhibited their works, such as Salvador Dalí, Pavel Cholychev, René Magritte, or Andy Warhol. Maria was not just a socialite and fashion icon, but also an important figure and patron of the arts of the 20th century. The Duchess left 2 children from Duke de Gramont, Gabriel Count de Gramont, born in 1908, and Gratien, also Count of Gramont, born in 1909. She also had a son from François Hugo, Giorgio. Maria Ruspoli de Gramont died in 1877 in Aix-en-Provence, where she had retired to a villa that the dancer choreographer Georges de Cuevas had given her at the venerable age of 88 years.